Well, actually, there are two teams that absolutely won the weekend in college football. Obviously, LSU for what they were able to do. And then there's Minnesota. Yeah, for sure. P.J. Fleck and company taking care of Penn State in dramatic fashion. They got the big lead. Penn State came back late, and Minnesota comes up with a huge play defensively at the end of the game.
Minnesota's legit. And Minnesota is announcing their presence on the college football stage. I am most intrigued to see where they will be ranked tomorrow night when the College Football Playoff Committee puts out their second round of rankings. But they absolutely announced their presence in a big way. LSU just dominant in a way that I think we're a little less surprised by, but it's still jarring considering the opponent for them.
I think what I like most is what happens when you're on the big stage. LSU, Alabama, we know that big stage here. But really quickly for Minnesota, and I even admitted out on Twitter, I have not seen a whole lot of Minnesota games.
Nope.
I have not seen a lot of Tanner Morgan, the quarterback for Minnesota, who, by the way, has 21 touchdowns and 4 interceptions only on the year. In this game, in one of the biggest stages, 18 of 20, 339 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
He was amazing.
When basically the committee said, hey, Minnesota, show us.
Correct.
It's exactly what. They are going to make a monstrous jump tomorrow night.
Well, to that point, when the newest playoff rankings come out, Heather Dinich, who does a great job at this for us, says expect a monumental rise for the Golden Gophers.
2 interesting notes about that. One is, do they reward the head-to-head win over Penn State? Second is, how high do they jump? Which means how far does Penn State fall, right? I think that Minnesota makes an unprecedented leap in the history of the college football playoff, young history that it is, into the top 10.
Wow.
We have never seen a team jump more than 6 spots into the top 10. I think Minnesota resets that standard, and I do think that they are ahead of one-loss Penn State.
All right, so that's where Minnesota
it should be.
Yeah, absolutely.
They absolutely should make that jump.
So then the question becomes, where do we think Alabama's going to be when this is all said and done in the latest rankings?
4.
Think they're still going to be in the top 4?
Yeah.
All right, by the way, Heather Dinich says also that might be cool, but don't expect them to be around when we start this whole thing.
I think Alabama's done. They were down by 20 in the first half. They looked terrible. They turned the ball over. They had penalties. Special teams was a disaster at times. But more than that, there's not an opportunity down the stretch for Alabama to compensate for this loss. If you are not a conference champion in the eyes of the committee, you have to be, quote, unequivocally one of the 4 best teams, no doubt.
So that just opens up a great opportunity for Baylor, is what it really does with Alabama's loss.
Bama's going to be 4, but Bama's going to be primed to be jumped, right?
By Baylor.
They are
by Pac-12 or Big 12.
Baylor,
who will host College Game Day this weekend
that's
against
right.
Oklahoma.
Let's go.
So the biggest game of their season.
Big O's for everybody.
Comes up this weekend. But the thing with Alabama, this game is sort of a Rorschach test for how you look at football because Heather's right. The first half, Alabama was anti-Alabama. They were penalty-riddled. They were making mistakes left and right. It was like watching the Patriots make mistakes against the Ravens when they played in prime time. You were shocked by it. That being said, when it came down to it, they had chances to get back and win this game at the end.
Yeah, they did.
And that counts for something. Alabama looked like one of the best 4 teams in college football over the course of the entire game. I get the first half didn't look that way, but Heather mentioned it and is exactly right. When you look at the other teams that are going to be involved, like Penn State's not even out of this because Penn State gets to play Ohio State down the stretch of the season. Penn State could still find their way with a win there or a win in the Big Ten championship. And Alabama's not going to have that opportunity. They need Auburn to fatten the calf as much as they can before that game and hope they get a win because besides that, they are looking up at a bunch of other teams, including the Pac-12 teams in Utah and Oregon, that would have a chance to play each other in the Pac-12 title and get a better win than almost anything Alabama's got an opportunity to.
So that's the races we're talking about, but man, give it up to LSU.
Oh, they
going to Alabama, getting that win. And I know that game got close. Great job by Alabama coming back. LSU was the better team.
Joe Burrow was
LSU
the dude.
Was the better team. And
they knew it, Mike.
The difference is that, I think they did. And I think walking off the field at halftime, Alabama knew that as well. But Alabama's been in big games, and they made a nice comeback. This LSU team, LSU and Ohio State, 1 and 2, however you want to split them up right now. I think they're your top 2 teams without question.
It was billed as the game of the century and managed to live up to it.
Did.
And it had all of the moments you wanted. I mean, Clyde Edwards-Helaire and that moment with him on the sideline, losing it emotionally in his coach's arms, knowing he had been constantly overlooked, accounted for 4 touchdowns in that game this weekend. Ed Orgeron getting choked up in the post-game interview there. Wasn't a dry eye in the house. And then how about Tua and his brother on the sideline? Tua, who came back from that tightrope surgery again on his other ankle, fought his you-know-what off in this game to have them going for it, and still managed to get them within shouting distance. It lived up to the billing in every sense of the word.
Thank you for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports and analysis, download the ESPN app, and for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.